Welcome to the Better Together Here podcast with your hosts Devin
and Ashley,
helping you make the most of your time in New York City. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Better Together Here podcast. My name is Devin.
And my name is Ashley.
And in today's episode, we are going to tell you 7 fun bars with games and activities in New York City, because going to bars is fun in its own. It's a good experience. You can find a lot of unique, different bars, but it's really fun when you can go and have an activity where you can get to know the person you're with a little bit better, play some fun games, and just have a general good time. So let's get right into it. All right. First on our list, there are many similar to this in other parts of the world and America, but in New York City, we have Barcade. There are multiple locations of Barcade. It is just like it sounds like. It's a bar. It's an arcade. You smash them together, you get Barcade. I grew up going to arcades on an almost weekly basis, like Saturday mornings. Like if you'd have a sleepover with your friends, we would go to the local arcade and play the Simpsons game or NFL Blitz or pinball or whatever it was for a couple hours. And that's like a core memory for me. So I absolutely love Barcade.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the article that Devin wrote and seeing that he got the high score on asteroids at Barcade. I didn't remember that. Didn't realize I was married to such an athlete.
Yes, an arcade athlete.
Barcade is just a really fun place to go in general. Really great place to go if you're on a date. Awesome spot if you're going with a big group of people. Everyone can kind of choose what they want to play. You can play some things together. You can play something solo. You could go by yourself, make some friends. Lot of really, really awesome beer options. I'm pretty sure every time I've gone, the bartender's been really nice and has let me try little sips of different beers before I commit to like a whole drink of whatever beer. They also have really good like appetizers as well as food options as well.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of the classic games, whatever classic means to you as an arcade person. They have games like Asteroid and Galactica, but then they also have newer ones like Crazy Taxi and Dance Dance Revolution and different car racing games. Really just a wide plethora of options. The nice thing about Barcade is that most of the machines actually work and you're not dealing with your coins disappearing or you put money in and the game doesn't work, whatever it is. If there are issues, there's plenty of staff to help out. But I love that the things actually work, because there's nothing more frustrating than going to an arcade or a place like that and nothing works and you end up wasting a ton of money. So Barcade, great option. There are multiple locations in New York, Williamsburg, one in St. Mark's Place, and the one we often go to is in Chelsea.
One really nice detail about when you go to Barcade is next to every single arcade game, they have a little table place for you to actually set your drink. So you're not like holding it while you're trying to play a game. There's always a little place next to each game for you to set your stuff down.
So make sure you check out Barcade and see if you can beat my high score in Asteroids. All right, next on our list is kind of a category of bars. We've talked about these in a different episode, but they're all under the same ownership. Some of our favorites in this like umbrella of bars is Jake's Dilemma, The Stumble Inn, Three Sheets Saloon. They have plenty of other ones, but all of these are lower cost sports bars with good food options, really good specials depending on the day. And even without specials, you can usually get like a can of something like Bud Light or Bud Light Seltzer for $3 to $5, which is pretty cheap for New York standards. But most of them have some types of games, whether it's beer pong or foosball or different kind of bar style games like that. There's something that you can do besides just having a drink.
These bars also usually have a DJ on the weekends, so it's a really fun place to go if you want to dance as well.
Yeah, so make sure you check out one of these. Again, there are a handful of them, but the ones we like, Jake's Dilemma, Stumble In, Three Sheets Saloon, and there's always sports on TV, which you gotta love. All right, and that leads us to this episode's New York City Know-How segment. This one's simple. This is also from New York City Basic Tips and Etiquette, a wonderful New York Times bestseller, short little book with phenomenal illustrations by Nathan W. Pyle. Gives you a great insight, good coffee book, all that. We'll link to it in the show notes. The tip here, the New York City Know-How, is in regards to the subway turnstiles. So it used to be that you had to actually swipe a Metro card, but now you can do the tap and pay. But either way, if you don't hear a click, that turnstile is going to stick. And in the book, there's this wonderful image of someone trying to go through the turnstile and just getting absolutely bodied by it and doubling over the front of it. So when you've successfully swiped your card or done the Omni, you'll hear a little click, and that is when you can know that the turnstile is actually going to unlock, so you don't end up ramming your gut into a turnstile.
Or depending on how tall you are, your hip, like me. I was trying to run through it once because we were trying to catch the train, and I had a pretty good bruise on my hip because I rammed into it, right into my hip bone.
So if you don't hear a click, that turnstile's going to stick. All right, back to bars with games. All right, the third on our list, Swingers Crazy Golf.
Frankly, I love this place. I'm also just generally probably above average lover of mini golf, just at a baseline. But they have really great cocktails at this place. It's a combination of a mini golf place and a bar. They have little caddies on each little mini golf course that will come by and bring you drinks, take drink orders. You can pay on the course. They deliver it to you on the course. Really fun place to go if you're going with friends and you want something a little different.
And the Swingers that we've been to, it's multiple bars kind of within this one area. So you go like down the stairs and it's this huge sprawling area with, I believe, 2 different 9-hole mini golf courses. So they get people through pretty quickly. You might wait for 10 or 15 minutes, but there's 2 to 5 different bar areas throughout the establishment where you can go grab drinks, all that stuff. And yeah, they can get delivered to you while you're golfing. So who doesn't love mini golf? And the decor is awesome. They have some great like fake photos of different celebrities and stars golfing related. Very, very worth checking out. Just know, like most things New York, it's a little bit more expensive than you would think for a round of mini golf. You're looking probably around $30 to go golf. And then the drinks are going to be in that higher price range of like 16 to 18 for a cocktail, beers $7 to $10. So on the more expensive side, but you're paying for the experience, and it's fun. It's a good vibe.
And I will add, the cocktails are slightly more expensive, but they're also worth it. I've never had a bad cocktail at this place, which is saying something because I've had a lot of bad cocktails.
Okay, and speaking of phenomenal cocktails, that leads us to number 4 on our list, which is the Royal Palms Shuffleboard Club. This is out in Brooklyn. We went here for a friend's party. This place is awesome. Just like it sounds, it is based around shuffleboard. I think there are like either 8 or 10 different shuffleboard courts. When you show up, I believe you can reserve them beforehand, but if you're just walking in, when you go in, first thing you'll want to put your name down to get onto the shuffleboard courts. But even while you're not playing shuffleboard, there are multiple bars throughout the kind of warehouse area. There are games like Giant Jenga and the different games where you're trying to like swing the, what is that called? Where you're trying to swing the
like loop, the hook?
Yeah, you're trying to swing the ring onto
yeah.
the hook on the wall. Like just a bunch of like different little things that you can pop in and do. And the nice part is those are free. So you could go to Royal Palms and not actually pay for shuffleboard. You could just do some of the free games that are around, like Giant Connect 4 and whatever it might be, and have some drinks and hang out. The drinks here, I remember when we got them, they were very heavy-handed pours. They were very...
You get your money's worth there.
You get your money's worth, for sure. And there are live DJs on many of the nights, so it's just a really fun experience. It's a big area, so it doesn't ever feel too crowded. Definitely worth checking out Royal Palms Shuffleboard Club.
They also had a really cool DJ that was DJing on vinyl when we were there, and that was the first time I had ever seen that. So really, really cool atmosphere.
All right, next on our list,
we
have mentioned this place before, but it is Ease Bar on the Upper West Side. Ease Bar is great for many reasons, one of which is they have a wonderful Wine Wednesday where I think it's like $7 for a pour of wine, which New York City, that's a very good price, and they're very heavy pours of wine, and they have 8 to 10 different wine options. The reason Ease Bar makes it on this list of bars with games is Ease Bar has tons of different board games that you can just grab and take to your table or booth and play with your group.
Every time we've been to Ease Bar, I've had a really good experience. I really like the bartenders there. The staff's always very nice. And it's just a nice, low-key neighborhood feel to go and catch up with some friends over a board game.
Yeah, agreed. And they have karaoke on Wednesdays, trivia on Tuesdays, comedy on some Mondays, and their happy hour is really solid. Highly recommend the Ease Burger. if it's on happy hour. Not on happy hour, it's probably a little bit overpriced, but the happy hour price on their burger, definitely worth it. And that goes until 7 p.m. every night. So that's Ease Bar on the Upper West Side. And that leads us to this episode's You'll Have to Check It Out segment.
The next stop is
Briciola. Briciola is a phenomenal Italian restaurant. It is a pretty small spot, and it's kind of funky because where you walk in to be seated, it looks like it's just kind of one area of bar seating, and then there's a wall on your left, but then there's this kind of like you walk around this little walkway and come around to the other side where there's this whole other seating room. It's all very small, which briciola means small, specifically referring to food, is my understanding. It's an Italian word. I don't speak Italian. I just looked this up on the internet, so sorry if I'm wrong, but it's a very small, cozy, kind of intimate Italian spot in Hell's Kitchen.
From what I remember, in the main dining room area, it's pretty much just one long table.
Yeah.
So you're sitting with people that you don't know necessarily, but I think that's kind of cool to all be like kind of packed in, sitting at the same table. Yeah. Really awesome wine selections. They sell it by the glass, they sell it by the bottle, but they also have these cool little mini carafes that have like a glass and a half, which in my opinion is kind of perfect. If you don't want to split a bottle of wine with someone, something a little more affordable is getting the mini carafe. All of the food that we've had here has been absolutely phenomenal. We've really liked the bruschetta. We've liked the burrata.
We've had their truffle mac and cheese, which was really, really good.
You wouldn't think to get truffle mac and cheese at an Italian place. I guess
so
it
good.
Is in the same category, but it was kind of like a cacio e pepe with that like truffle on the back end. It was so good.
Also, their spaghetti and meatballs, something that usually sounds kind of basic, and it's not what we would usually go for, but the spaghetti meatballs were phenomenal.
The service here is also great.
Yeah.
Both of the waiters that we've had when we've been have been so lovely, so kind and helpful, very attentive. Just all around great spot.
And again, it's in Hell's Kitchen, so it's a nice place to go before or after a show. I would recommend getting a reservation because seating is limited, but depending on the time that you go, you might be able to just walk in. So definitely worth checking out, and that is Briciola in Hell's Kitchen. And now back to Bars with Games.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
All right, next on our list is Pioneers Bar. So Pioneers Bar is located near Madison Square Garden, which makes it a good spot to go before or after a Knicks or a Rangers game or a concert in that area, or just whenever. We first went for a friend's party and have been a couple times since. Pioneers, what I like about Pioneers, to me, it almost feels like late 90s, early 2000s nostalgia. I don't know how, it's not like necessarily what they're going for, but that's just kind of the vibe inside of there.
It kind of seems like somebody's like basement living room area.
Yeah.
Like there's a bunch of old couches, not like falling apart, but like older couches. It's a more cozy vibe.
Yeah.
Bunch of games.
They have a good beer selection as well with some unique options. And then when it comes to games, they have a couple pinball games. They have things like Giant Jenga, Connect 4. They have a pool table. They have the basketball shooting games, which are one of our favorites. Like, it's definitely not as games focused, but there is plenty to do from a games perspective. And they have a bunch of TVs, including in the back area where there are the couches. They have projectors. So it's a good place to like watch some sports, hang out with friends, get some delicious beers, and just have a fun time. So that's Pioneers Bar. And last but definitely not least, we have talked about this before. That is Gebhard's Beer Culture on the Upper West Side.
We really like going to Gebhard's because they have a very unique beer selection, as well as a lot of different like ciders and beers in cans, as well as a lot of options on draft. Gebhard's, one time when we went, we were hanging out, having a couple drinks, and watched most of Jaws.
With no audio.
With
so
no
just
audio.
Subtitled Jaws.
Which honestly might be my preferred way of watching Jaws.
Yeah. And then after Jaws ended, the next movie that was on was Flubber. It's just like a funky bar generally, and that goes with like the drinks and what's happening. But upstairs, they have a massive selection of pinball games. I think they had like 8 or so different pinball machines. And I believe they also have pinball tournaments. I don't have the exact details on that, but if you're a pinball enthusiast, it's worth looking up. We've always had a good time at Gebhard's. And again, it's on the Upper West Side. We love the Upper West Side. There's so many different bars and restaurants and kind of just like hidden gems of New York. And Gebhard's beer culture is one of them. All right, so those were 7 different fun bars with games in New York City. If you have not already, please sign up for our newsletter. Go to bettertogetherhere.com/newsletter. We email once a week. We usually email about articles that we've written, episodes that we've published, and just a little tip for exploring and getting around New York City that's going to help you have a better experience. So again, bettertogetherhere.com/newsletter. Do all the things, subscribe, comment. If you have questions about New York City, about your trip to New York, things that are or aren't worth doing, you want us to look over your itinerary, whatever it is, send us an email, hello@bettertogetherhere.com. And other than that, we'll catch you on the next episode.